The Champions League is one of football's greatest prizes. It is the absolute dream for any footballer and is right up there with the World Cup. In fact, many footballers consider the Champions League a more realistic dream than the World Cup. Compared to the World Cup, the competition is played every year and is hardly ever won consecutively. Playing for great clubs should all but guarantee big ool ears in your trophy collection. Interestingly, that is not always the case. Being a great player does not guarantee you the trophy either. There are so many great players that deserve to have won the trophy, but it has eluded them still. Welcome to Football Pro. In this video, we're going to talk about the top 10 players who never won the Champions League trophy. This channel is dedicated to bringing you awesome regular content in and around the beautiful game of football. Let's dive in. Ronaldo Nazario. With his lightning pace, deadly stepovers, and sublime finishing, Ronaldo was no doubt the best striker of his time. There was no denying that this guy had the world at his feet. O Fenomeno inspired millions and mesmerized billions more. As a teenager for Cruzeiro, he earned a call-up to the 1994 World Cup, which Brazil won. By the next edition of the tournament, the young star would have blossomed into the world's best as he led his country to another World Cup final in 1998. He would win the Ballon d'Or in 1997 and later in 2002. Between that time, he had won 5 titles at PSV, Inter, and Barcelona. None of these were the Champions League, though. After leading Brazil to World Cup victory, he signed for current European champions, Real Madrid, in a bid to complete an already glorious career. That season, he would score a hat-trick against Manchester United to ease Los Blancos into the semi-finals, where they later lost to Juventus in Turin. 2004 saw a cruel ending to a potential treble for Real Madrid, as Ronaldo got injured in the final stretch of the season, and the team got knocked out by his Monaco in the quarterfinals. That was the last time Real Madrid progressed past the round of 16 during his time in the Spanish capital. In 2007, Ronaldo fell out of favor with the new manager, Fabio Capello, and left for AC Milan. Unfortunately, his timing couldn't have been worse. His January transfer meant he was not registered with Milan's UEFA Champions League squad, and instead watched on from the stands as the Rossoneri claimed revenge victory over Liverpool in Athens. It just was not meant to be for R9. Zlatan Ibrahimovic. The Big Swede has scored many spectacular goals and held many records over the years. His journeyman career saw him start out at Malmo in his home country before touring Europe with the likes of Juventus, Inter, Barcelona, AC Milan, PSG, and Manchester United. Even though most of these clubs had won the UEFA Champions League at some point in history, Zlatan never had the pleasure. Zlatan swapped the Inter shirt for Barcelona's in the summer of 2009. His arrival at Camp Nou was meant to boost the Blaugrana, who were looking to retain the title after a successful treble year. But a funny twist of fate saw the Nerazzurri knock out Zlatan and Barcelona in the semifinals. Inter won the treble that season. Samuel Eto'o, who was on the other end of the transfer deal, was the luckiest man, while Zlatan was considered unfortunate. It was the last time he would compete at the semifinal stage of the UEFA Champions League, as his latter years with PSG, AC Milan, and Manchester United were not fruitful in that regard. His return to AC Milan after a stint with LA Galaxy has been a silver lining. This season, the Rossoneri has pushed past Napoli into the semifinals, but the 41-year-old veteran would not benefit from a potential UEFA Champions legal triumph since Zlatan is not registered as a player, but as a coach with Milan's current squad. Should AC Milan lift the trophy in Istanbul, Zlatan's player career would still remain barren of the UEFA Champions League, but it would count as a member of the coaching staff. Just like his idol, Ronaldo Nazario, Zlatan will probably never lift the trophy as a player. His contract runs out in June 2023, but you never know in the wild world of football. Gianluigi Buffon. Buffon's rise from Parma to become one of the best goalkeepers in history is just insane. The veteran goalkeeper played for Juventus for over 17 years, making 685 appearances for the Bianconeri. Between that time, he won several titles, including the 2006 World Cup and 10 Serie A titles. Sadly, Gigi would lead the old ladies' backline to 3 UEFA Champions League finals, but would never bring the trophy home. His first final ended in a penalty shootout loss against AC Milan, the second in a 3, one victory for Barcelona, and a third was a 4, one rout by Real Madrid. Gigi later tried his luck with PSG, but that did not work out as well. He returned to Turin for a brief spell in 2019, where the title still eluded and finally departed for Parma in 2021. It seems to be the end of a road for Buffon's UEFA Champions League dreams, as the 45-year-old is now devoted to helping his boyhood club gain promotion from Serie B. But then, you never know. Pavel Nedved. The Czech Fury won the coveted Ballon d'Or in 2003, but the year could have gone even better. Nedved's 2002-2003 season ended with a Scudetto triumph for Juventus and was headed towards a double. But the fairy tale was dashed with a loss in the UEFA Champions League final to Milan on penalties. Sadly, Nedved could do nothing about it as he missed the final through suspension from accumulated yellow cards. The sad fate was tough to endure for Nedved, who had produced one of his finest seasons ever. His prior years were spent with Lazio, where he won the UEFA Cup, Cup Winners' Cup, and the Super Cup, among many domestic titles. After his golden year in 2003, a career affected by injuries, club scandals, and relegation would never give Nedved another proper shot at the trophy until he retired. Ruud van Nistelrooy. Van Nistelrooy was made for European nights. The striker is the sixth highest goal scorer in UEFA Champions League history, after scoring 56 goals in 77 UEFA Champions League appearances for PSV, Manchester United, and Real Madrid. In fact, his impressive goal ratio of 0.77 is equal to Cristiano Ronaldo's. He was also top goal scorer in the 3 different UEFA Champions League seasons. Sadly, Van Nistelrooy's goal craze was not enough to secure big ol' ears, but it was certainly not for the lack of trying. Manchester United were hard on luck during his time. The Red Devils won the Champions League 2 seasons before his arrival and 2 seasons after his departure. At Real Madrid, it was quite the same thing with the titles in 2002 and 2014, eluding his 2006 to 2010 stay in the Spanish capital. He remains the only player in the competition's top 10 goal scorers to have never won the competition. You can say it was never meant to be. Oh, by the way, a lot of hard work and care goes into these videos, so if you could help us out and click that lovely subscribe button, we'd greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up too. Fabio Cannavaro. Cannavaro's performances at the 2006 World Cup gave him the Berlin Wall title and deservedly won him the Ballon d'Or that year. Up till that point, the Naples-born center-back had quite the career, winning several titles including the 1999 UEFA Cup with Parma. After leaving Parma, he would play for Internazionale, where he came as close as the semifinals, which the Nerazzurri lost to their neighbors in the historic Milan Derby of 2003. His transfer to Juventus saw little progress in his Champions League aspirations. Departing Turin amidst the Calciopoli scandal for Real Madrid did not bring him any closer. In fact, Los Blancos endured some of their worst performances in the competition during his 2-year stay. Roberto Baggio. In his prime, Baggio's ponytail was only less popular than the moon. The Italian magician combined finesse with absurd fluidity and vision. He was a joy to have on your side and a terror to play against. Baggio's journeyman career took him round several clubs in his native Italy, but he only won trophies at Juventus and AC Milan. You could say Baggio was cursed with the luck of a beggar to counterbalance his divine abilities, but no one deserved a cruel fate like he did. At a time when he was the best player in the world, he missed the first penalty shootout in the World Cup final, which ended in Italy's defeat to Brazil. He had no easy time in Europe either, where his only triumph came with Juventus in the UEFA Cup. But his stint in Turin or either of the Milan clubs would not materialize into a Champions League victory, even though both Juventus and AC Milan won the Champions League without him. Francesco Totti. The gladiator of Rome was considered one of the best players of his generation. He was renowned for his creative ability and goal-scoring acumen as he led AS Roma for the entirety of his career. Totti became one of the most sought-after players in the world, but he stayed in the Eternal City, where he was lauded as the 8th king of Rome. Throughout his career, Totti would only progress past the round of 16 twice. Despite his best efforts, AS Roma would never win the UEFA Champions League during his era, or any European trophy for that matter. Rome's very own would make a record 785 appearances for the club, scoring over 307 goals and contributing 206 assists in that time. But the big year were never meant to be for Totti's Roma. Many felt the World Cup winner may have wasted his prime in Rome, but at the end of the day, his true victory was his loyalty to Roma. Lothar Matthäus. In his prime, Lothar Matthäus dominated the field as a box-to-box midfielder with great passing, clutch tackles, and powerful shots on goal. The German ace would win the Ballon d'Or after victory at the 1990 World Cup, with Germany against Diego Maradona's Argentina. A year later, he would become the first player to win the FIFA Player of the Year award. But Europe's highest club honor would elude him until the end of his career, when he lost the 1999 final to Manchester United's miraculous comeback. It was a sad twilight for the 38-year-old and a haunting déjà vu to his early days, when Bayern Munich lost the 1987 final to Porto in another comeback. Diego Maradona. When you think of Maradona, several things come to mind. The hand of God to win Argentina, the 1986 World Cup, the endless stream of magic for Napoli's Scudetti, and the UFC-style fighting in the Barcelona shirt. But nobody ever relates the Champions League to El Pibe de Oro. After impressive spells with Argentinos Juniors and Boca Juniors in his home country, Maradona would spend the peak of his powers in Europe. He started out at Barca, but departed Camp Nou after 2 seasons. After his world record transfer fee, he would establish himself as the god of Naples for 7 years. Interestingly, the 1989 UEFA Cup was Maradona's only continental championship in his club career. The UEFA Champions League was a different tale. He would only compete in the competition twice. Maradona's Napoli was eliminated by Real Madrid on their first try in 1988. After winning a second league title in 1990, the Neapolitans competed in the European Cup the following season, but were eliminated by Spartak Moscow on penalties. His luck was no better with Barcelona prior or Sevilla in his twilight, as neither club participated in the competition during his time, but it never mattered at the end of the day. For Maradona devotees, the memory of the Azteca Stadium will always outweigh every other thing. Thanks so much for sticking around until the end of the video. We hope you enjoyed it. But why stop now? Click this video right here for more awesome content.